Study Guide 14, second page, number 13. Write in algebraic terms. 5 less than x is at most 7. Well, at most 7 means 7 and anything below it, because 7's the most. So I can have 6. 6 is at most 7. You can't have any more than 7. So 5 less than x. Let's see, I'm going to take 5 away from x. So 5 less than x is x minus 5. And then is at most 7, so it can be 7 or less than equal to 7. And that's a little tricky because you see that less than there. This is the concept of subtraction. 5 less than x. You're taking 5 away from x, and then the is at most 7. That tells you that the most you could have would be 7. 7, 6, and so on. If y varies inversely as x, and y is 3.5 when x is 20, find x when y equals 14. Well, inverse variation says x times y, and I'm going to do them x sub 1, y sub 1, is x times y, and I'll do x sub 2, y sub 2. That just means they go together. So these two go together, and these two go together. So 20 times 3.5 equals x, which we don't know, times 4. Well, let's go over here, and I'm going to do the shortcut on 3.5 times 20. It's going to be 70 is equal to 4x. Divide both sides by 4. And we'll come over here and do the division. 1 time. Bring down my 0. 7 times. Now, you can do it as a decimal. You can add a decimal and a 0 and do it as a decimal. I'm just going to do it as a remainder. 2/4, which will reduce to x is 17 1/2. And I'll write that as a decimal, 17.5. Inverse variation, as one goes up, the other one goes down. So if x was 20 and it went down to 7.5, then the y's went up from 3.5 to 4. So as one goes up, the other one goes down. Number 15, multiplying, and you're actually multiplying a perfect square. So 4x minus 3 squared is 4x minus 3 times 4x minus 3. So once we distribute the 4x, we'll get 16x squared minus 12x. Now let's distribute the negative 3 to both of them. We'll get minus 12x plus 9. We'll put these together and we get 16x squared minus 24x plus 9. Number 16. What percent, that's your x, of is your times 160 is, that's your equals 24. Well, notice you have 160 attached to your x, so we need to divide by 160. So x is equal to, and they ask for it as a percent, so I'm going to do it as a decimal. And just keep adding decimals, and add a decimal, add zeros. Well, 160 doesn't go into 24, goes into 241 time. And you had to borrow there, so you got 80, and then add a 0, bring it down. And I believe when you multiply, I think you'll find that that's exactly 5. So it said what percent, so you don't want to leave it as a decimal, but 1500ths is 15%. Find the percent of change from 600 to 630. Okay, percent change, and in this case we're going up, increase, is the change over the original. So the change from 600 to 630 is 30. The original is 600. Now you can reduce it and then write it as a percent. I'm just going to go ahead and just divide. I'll do it over here. The 600 into the 30. Add a decimal. You're going to have to add a couple of zeros. Actually, you're just going to need the 1 because you've got 600 won't go into, no, you do need 2. It won't go into 30. It won't go into 300, but it will go into 3,000 5 times. And 500ths is 5%. And that's the change. Oop. There you go. Find the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that passes through these 2 points, 1, 5, and 2, 6, 2, 8. Okay, to find the equation, there's a couple of things we need to know. We need the slope, and we need a point. Well, we have 2 points. But to find the slope, we first do just like we did earlier, subtract the y's over subtracting the x's. And I think I'm going to start with the 8 this time. So I'm going to put 8 minus 5 over 2 minus 1, which is 3 over 1, which is 3. Now, we have this slope, we have a point, and we can use either one of them. So we now need the point slope formula. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. The x sub 1 and y sub 1 is one of your points, and let's just go ahead and use this one. And then the m is your slope. So y minus the 5 equals 3, which is your slope, times x minus the 1. Well, to clean that up, and it says write it in slope-intercept form, we need to first distribute the 3, and we'll get 3x minus 3. Get the y by itself and add 5, and we'll get y equals 3x plus 2. And that is the line that goes through those 2 points in slope-y-intercept form. The slope is 3, and the y-intercept is 2. The degree of the polynomial, you need to find the degree of each one of these terms, and each term, it's the sum of the exponents of the variables. So in this one, the degree is 3 plus 1, which is 4. The degree of this one is 1 plus 2, which is 3, and the degree of this one is 3 plus 4, which is 7. So the degree of the polynomial is the highest one you see, which is 7. For what values of x is the expression undefined? A fraction is undefined when the denominator is 0. You cannot have 0 as a denominator. Well, let's take the denominator off, and it can't be 0. No matter what, you can't have 5 over 0, you can't have 12 over 0, you can't have 0 on the bottom. So this can't be 0. And then we just solve it like it is. Subtract 8, we get 2x can't be negative 8, divide by 2, and that tells me that x cannot be negative 4. So if you were making a t-table, this would be the only number that wouldn't work. When you plug it in, you'll notice on the bottom you'd have 2 times negative 4, which is negative 8 plus 8, which cannot work.